By the end of this video, you're going to understand how you're being too hard on yourself and what you can start to do to become more loving towards yourself, giving yourself more grace, and therefore reaping better rewards throughout your life. What's up, everyone? My name's Zane, and today we're going to be talking about 7 signs that you're being too hard on yourself. Let's get straight into it. Number 1, you're blaming yourself too often. This is a very common one, right? We're blaming ourselves because, let's say, for example, you're blaming yourself because you lost out on a relationship. You're blaming yourself on a breakup. You're blaming yourself for not getting certain grades. You're blaming yourself for not being a worthy friend, a worthy son, a worthy daughter, brother, sister, whatever it may be. You're blaming yourself because you're not helping someone feel a certain way. You're blaming yourself because someone doesn't feel happy enough in your presence, right? These kind of things, right? We put too much focus and too much blame on ourselves for things sometimes that are actually out of our control, you know? When it comes to a relationship, for example, you know, yes, there's certain blame that we can put on ourselves for certain things that we did wrong, but here's the thing. People tend to sit in that blame and start to feel sorry for themselves, right? That is one major sign that we're too hard on ourselves, because when we're in that area, guys, it's not a comfortable place to be. Number 2, comparison. This is a very simple one, especially with what's going on with social media. There is so much out there that can get you to start to compare yourself to other people. You know, comparing your lifestyle to some Instagram influencer's lifestyle. Comparing your body to someone else's body, whether you're a man or a woman, right? In both situations, it is still the same thing. Women got their bodies all over Instagram, so have guys these days. Guys, we get an insecurity of how our body should look. Women, you get the same thing. Our lifestyle, our car choices, our house choices, our spouse choices. Comparison is on repeat every single day. Now, society and culture doesn't help us in certain ways, but it doesn't stop us from breaking out of that pattern, right? So that number 2, guys, is comparison. Number 3, it's hard for you to accept compliments. You know, guys, I used to do this so much. I mean, like, even today, I find myself doing it at times. And it's interesting because that is something I've been having to work on. I mean, for example, a sincere friend would give a compliment such as, you know, you're really good at public speaking, or you got some great discipline in what you're doing right now. You know, sometimes, you know, if I go and eat out somewhere and I'm not eating a certain amount of food, they'll say, "Oh man, how are you doing that?" You know, and I wouldn't accept that as a compliment, you know, or like, you know, Zane, you got great discipline. I wouldn't accept that as a compliment. You know, I couldn't. You know, it was hard for me to do that. It's a difficult one, guys, because if you keep negating people's compliments, you start to think that when people do give you compliments, that you feel like they're lying, that you feel like they're only giving you a compliment because they want to get something from you. And I used to feel like that all the time. That is not a way to feel, because sometimes people can be genuinely giving you a compliment and you just want to say thank you and be able to compliment them something back, either in that specific moment or maybe even 10 minutes later. The reason why I would think like that and feel like that is because I actually had a poor self-image. So it always comes down to, when we're being hard on ourselves, it comes down to having a poor self-image. Okay, and this is a big part of it, that we can't take compliments. So that's number 3. Number 4, you're dismissive of your own ideas. Have you ever had that feeling, that idea that you said, you know what? I'm going to start a business. I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to get into business with my friend. I'm going to go talk to that woman. I'm going to go talk to that guy. Right? That impulse, that idea that you have, that's within you. Have you ever had that feeling and then not acted on it? Because I'm telling you, that has happened to me many times. I still get that today. I'm still working on that myself, right? For example, this YouTube channel, I sat for about 3 months or 4 months with an idea of starting a YouTube channel, but I kept giving myself excuses. I kept saying, "Oh no, Zane, this isn't going to work because of this, that, and the third. I need the perfect camera equipment and setup. You can't edit videos, you can't do this, can't do that." And I was dismissing my own ideas, and I was actually putting myself down on the skills I was able to do, until I said, fuck it. I am going to go do it. And I realized it's so easy to edit videos. It's so easy to record. And it's so easy to actually come up with ideas because it's something I'm actually quite naturally passionate about. So if you're passionate about something and you want to start it, you actually want to go forward with it. Number 5, you dwell on the mistakes that you made. And it's easy that when we make mistakes, we dwell on them. You know, we went to approach a woman or a guy that we liked and it didn't go well. So we dwell on that mistake. We don't get the grades we wanted in class. So we dwell on that mistake. We make a mistake in business, or 10 mistakes, 20 mistakes, or 100 mistakes in business. We dwell on them. That's very, very common to have. And again, I know this video is seeming pretty intense, but I'm telling you right now, I'm making you aware. Because the thing is, what's worse is that you're not aware of the fact that you're doing these things. You're now becoming aware of how you are potentially putting yourself down and being too hard on yourself. And we're going to be talking about towards the end a few steps that you can start to do to get out of that. All right, so stick around towards the end. Number 6, you never give yourself a break. What do I mean by this, right? So this, when I thought about this, it hit home for me so hard, guys. It hit home for me so hard because one big part of this was overworking on your goals, right? It's overworking on your goals, and it can make you feel bad and actually perform worse when you're overworking on your goals. Because for me, I had this poor self-image, I was too hard on myself, and I was never giving myself a break. I was constantly working like 90, 100 hours a week, just like non-stop. I just didn't stop. I didn't give myself a break. There was times where I would negate health and gym and what I would eat and social life and, cinema and going for a run or going to the park or something like that. All of these different things, I would negate all of those things because I said, no, I have to work, and I have to work. And if I'm not working, I get anxious. Now, having said that, part of that, I actually like the fact that I get a bit anxious when I'm not working, but I'd rather be anxious about that than having to work. But you want to make sure you give yourself time to yourself. If you work in a job and you're working 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, whatever it may be, you come home from work. If you've got a side project you work on that for a couple of hours. You work on that for a couple of hours, and then you chill. You spend time with your family. You watch a movie. You go to the gym. You spend some time with your friends. Like, you do all these different things to give yourself a rhythm in your life so that you're not overworking yourself. Because I found that when I was overworking myself, I was performing a lot worse. I was performing much worse, and I wasn't getting the results. Whereas when there's rhythm in your life, you can start to perform better. Number 7, the final one. You're being a perfectionist and you put yourself down whenever you make a mistake. Guys, I'm telling you, this one is just probably the peak for me. I used to be such a perfectionist. I identified with it. I didn't like making mistakes, and it stemmed from things in childhood where I guess people in class, my family, they all wanted me to be sort of perfect in my grades and get the best grades possible, and nothing was ever enough. And you know what, in ways I felt like that pushed me to raise my standards at a very young age, so I'm really thankful for that. But at the same time, it did have to have this trade-off where I always wanted perfectionism, from a very early age. And if it wasn't perfect, if it wasn't right, if I made a mistake, I'll put myself down about it. And I'm sure you've had that same experience in some way, shape, or form. Just before we wrap up with the bonus tip I'm about to give you, I want to right now give you something which will allow you to get started towards that journey of allowing yourself start being more loving and accepting towards yourself and break out of this cycle of being too hard on yourself. When we're looking at the 7 points, if we look at blaming yourself too often, the way we can do that is by going from blame to responsibility. Because blame is coming from a place of self-helplessness, and responsibility is coming from a place of conviction, of confidence, and really of power. Your self-power. You take your own power back when you take responsibility. When you're putting blame on yourself, it's not a nice feeling. But when you take responsibility, you're taking power back in your life, and you're able to influence the outcome of whatever it is that you're trying to do. All right. It's a great way to do that. Take responsibility for things in your life rather than putting blame in your life. And realize that you have the power to do that. So for the second one, comparison, the easiest way to do it, I mean, for me, I don't spend that much time on social media. I don't scroll through Instagram too often. And the best way for me to compare less is get busy and take action. Hit the gym, right? If I don't like my body and I see all these, six-pack abs and shredded and muscular and all this shit on Instagram, I get to the gym. I start eating healthy. I start setting goals for my health. And that allows me to start working towards that. And I'm now being less intimidated by comparison. I'm comparing myself to others less often. And I'm focusing more on myself and developing my body, my frame, my health. For number 3, where it was hard to accept compliments, just start accepting them. It's that simple. Just start accepting compliments. When I started to do that, it was uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It was definitely uncomfortable at the beginning, but over time, I started to feel a lot better about myself. Why? Because I was essentially inviting that compliment in. I wasn't rejecting it and pushing it away. When I invited that compliment in, not only did it make me feel better, it actually made the person giving the compliment feel better as well. Because when we reject a compliment, it's like we're rejecting someone. Right? Imagine there's probably a time where you've given a compliment to someone and they've rejected your compliment. How did it make you feel? It doesn't make you feel that good because you feel rejected, right? That's what you may be doing to people if you are rejecting their compliment. So if you accept their compliment, you say thank you, appreciate that, and if you can genuinely find something to compliment them about in that particular moment, I would do it. And just watch how that relationship will build. It'll help you build better relationships. It'll help you feel better about yourself, and you will start to grow from it. You will start to grow from it. You will start to grow your self-image from it as well. Now, those are the first 3. I really wanted to address those individually, but for the remaining 4, which we've got dismissive of your own ideas, dwelling on the mistakes that you made, never giving yourself a break, and that you're a perfectionist and putting yourself down when making mistakes. These 4, I want to sum into just one bracket. And it does actually include the other 3 signs as well. So I'm going to chuck all 7 into this. Why not? I'm feeling creative today. All right. So there's one word, or should I say 2? Self-image. If you focus on improving your self-image, these things will start to go away. If you focus on improving your self-image, these 7 signs, you will start to get rid of them. You will not be blaming yourself. You will not be feeling like you have to compare yourself to other people. You will not have this need of perfectionism. You won't be overworking yourself because you're developing your self-image. You're being more loving towards yourself. You're being more caring towards yourself. A really good way to do this is you want to start not by going, right, how do I develop my self-image in one day and completely turn it around? It's not going to happen in one day. The best way to develop your self-image is one step at a time. For example, let's say your health isn't in check and your body doesn't look the way you want it to look. If you look in the mirror and you're disgusted with what you see, just understand that what you see there, that you can change that. You can control that. Because when I did that 6 months ago, I said to myself, this is not me. I literally said to myself, this is not my identity and this is not who I am. I have to change this right now. And that's exactly what I started to do. And so my self-image started to change. Now, it doesn't change by a decision, or should I say, you know what? It changes by a decision, but it also changes more so by taking the action steps. So when I started going to the gym regularly, when I started working out regularly, when I started eating better, when I started introducing more greens into my diet, when I started having more higher protein into my diet, less carbs, less junk food, less rubbish, less eating out, organic, healthy foods, my identity started to shift. Every single day I could feel that identity shifting even more. 6 months ago, I mean, I used to work out, I've been going gym for a few years, but there was just a period in my life where I wasn't working out at all. Now, 3, 4 years ago, I was shredded, right? But I wasn't working out every day. It was never my identity to work out 7 days a week. Now I work out 7 days a week and I enjoy it. I fucking enjoy it, guys. It is the best feeling working out 7 days a week. I never feel tired, right? There may be times where I feel a bit sluggish, but it's usually because I haven't got my nutrients in for the day, or I haven't been drinking enough water. You want to develop your self-image, because then what I started to find was I stopped comparing myself to others less, because I knew I was on a journey towards getting the body that I desire. I stopped putting blame on myself that I looked a certain way because I was getting to the gym. I stopped being dismissive of my own ideas because my ideas about the gym was I'm going to get fit. And I started to work towards that. And then it started to happen in other areas of my life. I took action on this YouTube channel, for example. I started making progress in trading. Now, there are times where I do feel, for example, I'll be honest with you, today I did feel quite down about myself. I was putting myself down quite a bit, put a bit of blame on myself that I wasn't where I wanted to be. But I knew that I was on this journey. Deep down in my heart, I know I'm on this journey. I know I'm developing the right habits. I know I'm developing the right self-image. And so I just need to remain patient and start enjoying this process of it. You will start to get rid of all these things bit by bit. Instead of being dismissive of your own ideas, you will actually start to implement your ideas. You won't be dwelling on the mistakes you made because you understand that you are an individual that is okay with making mistakes. You understand that making mistakes is part of the journey in business, especially in business. It is part of the journey. If you're working on your health, it's part of the journey. If you're looking to attract a relationship, again, part of the journey. You got to make mistakes to get there, right? It's part of the journey. And because of that, you'll learn to love yourself more. You'll learn to give yourself grace, and that will actually allow you to give yourself time off. You won't overwork yourself. You'll get the rest that you need. And then when you are working, you're working your ass off and you're making it happen. Okay, guys, so to end it, we're going to end it on this bonus tip. What I want you to focus on first is actually focusing on your self-image. Start developing that. Start building new habits. And then what you can start to do, there is a positive way to, I wouldn't say be hard on yourself, but be tough on yourself. Because there are times where you need to be tough on yourself. Especially if you're trying to get the body that you deserve. Especially if you are trying to get that business started and get that business going. Get that YouTube channel going, that podcast, whatever it may be. Attract that relationship. You need to get tough on yourself. For me, being tough on myself was getting myself to the gym even when I didn't feel like it. Eating clean meals even when I didn't feel like it. And what that allowed me to do was it actually built more respect for myself in the long term. That built my self-image, and I ended up having more love for myself because I was implementing those habits. And obviously, I'm continuing to do these things today. I'm speaking past tense, but I am doing these things today. So when you start to do that, there is a way of being tough on yourself. You're not being hard on yourself, you're being tough on yourself. And you're giving yourself that push. Why? Because you love yourself. Because you understand that you can grow, you can develop. And I'm not trying to be cheesy when I say you gotta love yourself and all this kind of stuff. It may sound cheesy, I know, but look, one thing I learned from someone was that how are we supposed to give love to others when we can't even give it to ourselves? With that being said, guys, I'm joking. I can't even talk right now. It is a true statement. It is a true statement. So focus on yourself. Work on yourself. Develop a better self-image. And a good way to do that as well, a great way I found to build a great self-image is to actually help other people. That gives you a sense of love towards yourself because you're helping out other people. There's a different kind of connection when you're doing that. You're helping out other people, you're spending time with your loved ones, or you're calling your loved ones, whatever it may be. Even if it's for 10 minutes a day or 10 minutes a week even, just for a loved one to hear your voice, it's a great feeling. And you will feel better afterwards. So with that being said, guys, that concludes the video. I hope you found a lot of value from this. Guys, please hit that like button if you enjoyed the content, if you want me to make more content like this, and comment your best takeaway or comment your top 3 takeaways. And with that being said, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out. Much love.